What up, what up? Welcome on into Inside Baylor Sports, the official daily podcast of Baylor Athletics. On today's show, we look back on Baylor's softball's weekend series against Oklahoma State, plus look ahead to this week's action as the Bears have 5 games coming up. We'll also update you on the latest with Baylor track and field, Baylor baseball, and Baylor men's and women's tennis, plus much, much more. Don't forget, you can catch Inside Baylor Sports every weekday. You can also watch the video version for free over at BaylorPlus.com and on our Baylor Athletics YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, rate, and review the pod. And follow Baylor Plus today on X, Instagram, and Facebook. It's the official content network of Baylor Athletics. Think Netflix for your Baylor Bears. Download the app on your mobile device and sign up for your free 7-day trial today at BaylorPlus.com. It's Tuesday, March 12th. 2024. Justin Hoff alongside Corey Bolts. And Corey, these student athletes are back. How's everything going in your neck of the woods?
We're back. There's an energy in the building, Justin. There's an energy. You go from crickets last week and just a very eerie, quiet office space. And today I hear laughter and joy in the hallways. And they were back yesterday from spring break, and it's fun having them back. Talked to a couple of them about how their breaks went and what they did, and it's a good. I enjoyed while they were gone to be productive, but it's awesome to have them back and to hear the joy in the building again. It's nothing like it, honestly.
We got about 2 months, right, until graduation. So it's that stretch run through midterms, and now turning the corner. A lot of seniors that we have this year, and really exciting these next couple months. Of course, you got the Golden Bruisers. You get through your finals. You walk across the stage, see President Livingstone, get that diploma, and then go on and try to get yourself an adult job.
An adult job. I was speaking with one of our track athletes yesterday, and part of what she did over the over the break was nursing school applications, and she's applying to different nursing schools and trying to figure it all out. And it was just fun to talk with her about that experience. But it's exactly what you talked about, Justin. She had a little bit of this sense of urgency because school will be wrapping up here in a couple months, but also a sense of excitement, right? Excitement to be able to have that degree and excitement to start the next chapter in her life. And that's the hope for all of our young men and our young women, is that they're positioning themselves well to be able to start this next chapter, whether that's playing professionally for some of our student athletes, whether that's going into graduate school and continuing their education to prepare themselves for what they want to do, or going directly into a job. And I get excited about knowing that there's this great journey ahead of them. And my hope is that we've done our part to, as we say, prepare them to be champions for life. But my hope is that they feel equipped and ready for that transition. And these next 2 months can be very stressful for them, but it's also a very exciting time, and no greater opportunities than to see them get their awards during the Golden Bruisers, like you mentioned, and have them participate in the graduate celebration, and then ultimately see them walk across that stage. I mean, that's the why, right? That's why we do what we do. So fun times. We're not going to rush it, though. We're going to take it a day at a day, and we're going to take it a week at a time. And then you and I will likely be talking about graduation here soon.
I was just going to say, got to be stressful for them. I was thinking back to, we're similar in age, and thinking back to when we graduated. I know that first question was, did you get a job? Do you have a job? And you almost didn't want to talk about it, right? It was like you're tired of everybody asking you. If you're a senior in your final semester, that's the most likely question that you're going to pick up. And it was, in the late 2000s and early 2010s, a bad recession, and jobs were hard to come by. And now there's a lot more jobs out there, thankfully, for our student athletes, and hopefully they can get in there and with that Baylor degree and go grab some.
Yeah, absolutely. And I try to think about that too, Justin, when I talk to our seniors, because I used to hate, and hate is a strong word, but I feel like it's an appropriate word for this. I used to hate getting asked the question because I felt like every person I talked to when I was preparing to graduate from undergrad and graduate school, that was the question. The question was, what are you gonna do next? What job are you gonna do? What's your plan? I'm like, oh. So while I know that's part of our job to ask that question, I try to find different ways to approach it with them. so that when they're asked, they're excited about what the response is going to be. And instead of it being, ugh, I don't know, please don't ask me, it's more of, oh, here's the plan or here's what I'm thinking. And they feel a little bit more equipped to be able to answer the question, but I'm sure it's just annoying. And I don't know that will ever change, even if there are a lot of jobs out there. I feel like even still, those seniors are going to be like, oh, can somebody ask me something else other than what's my plan after I get done?
The worst part is when one of your friends has a job and you don't
Oh,
have one, right? And then you have to hear that, it's like,
and that just builds the stress.
yeah, so they have a job or you're around somebody that does, stay away from them for a few weeks, okay?
Hmm.
But let's jump in here to some of the sports. Enjoyed some of that conversation. Baylor softball, they currently sit 14-5 overall, number 9 in the latest RPI. Had another battle this weekend against the top 5 Oklahoma State. Corey, what did you see from the team this weekend? A lot of close games, and coming down to that 6th and 7th inning. We got one of them. I would have loved to get a few more, but some battles out there.
We were battling, and I think what I saw most from this team, and I'm hopeful that they saw it too, is that we can compete with anyone. We can compete with anyone, and there's a lot of talent on our team. And sometimes there could be this mindset of, oh, these are the highly ranked teams, and we're just happy if we're just in the game. So if we don't get blown out, we're happy. Or if we don't get run ruled, we're happy. What the weekend showed is that we're competitors that shouldn't be taken lightly. And I'm sure that Oklahoma State felt that after that first game, even though they won it, they barely won it. Like we had some errors towards the end there. I don't know what's going on in our 6th and 7th inning, so we need to figure that. We got to figure that out. But we had some things towards the end of the game that cost us in that first game. But the rebound and the bounce back from game 1 to game 2 was what you want to see. You want to see the team be resilient and give all that they have to the game. And they came out with a win on that Saturday, and then on Sunday, the fight continued, and we got edged out a little bit towards the end of the game, but we were right there in it, going inning for inning and winning in many respects those innings, until we got to the end and they got a couple lucky breaks, in my opinion, that resulted in the game. But what I loved is that we saw the talent that's on the team and the level at which that we can compete. And if we can put together our pieces and consistently show up in the ways that we showed up on 5 innings, 6 innings on Friday, a full game on Saturday, and about 5 or 6 innings on Sunday, that's the team that's going to go deep in the postseason, because they have the pieces to do it. And my hope is that the weekend provided a confidence boost for them, that they can see that. I've been saying this since the start of the season, but my hope is that after playing this weekend, they can also see that, and that they're taking that confidence into the rest of our conference competition, because the reality is our conference is stacked, and we're going to have to come out and compete weekend in and weekend out. And it's going to be a game at a time, but our team is prepared to battle, and our coaches have them ready to do that.
Well, Corey, you were hitting me with some stats on the softball side. 8 of the 14, or well, 8 of the conference, not all 14 have schools, so this is even better, right?
That's true.
8 teams currently sit top 50 right now in the RPI over on softball. So super impressive. No easy games. And, there was a couple comebacks that we had, but when you think about that season opener against Tennessee, you think about Friday and Sunday, some of these games that just, didn't go our way in the 6th or 7th inning. The season could be even better. But I think, hey, show that hunger. There's always room for improvement, and you'd rather make those mistakes or lose those games now than 2 months from now. And maybe there's an opportunity to see Oklahoma State here in 2 months at the Phillips 66 Big 12 Softball Championship. This week, a busy week, no doubt, for Baylor softball. It's that time of the year, right? You're playing all these games. Doubleheader versus Lamar today. First game set for 4 o'clock. Both games can be seen on Big 12 now on ESPN Plus. Then this weekend, the Baylor softball team jets north for a weekend series at Kansas. Very important one. Great opportunity for Baylor softball to get on a roll this week. I know they have 5 games. I'd love to see 5-0. Is that too much to ask for? Man, it sounds so good.
It's not. I don't think it's too much to ask for at all. but we know how I feel. I do think that, and I watch softball, but I'm still learning softball. So I have not watched Kansas play at all this year. I don't know what they're looking like, but based on these recent RPI standings, the RPI says they're looking pretty decent. Now I don't know who they've played, so I don't know if they're similar to us where they've played a strong non-con schedule, but it'll be a good one. I mean, our I fully anticipate us being able to go 5-0 this week. I do think though that we'll be tested. I have no idea what the weather in Kansas will be. 2 years ago when we went there, it was extremely frigid, and that impacted us a little bit because we had been accustomed to playing in a lot more mild climate. So hands getting cold, errors that we didn't need to have, that kind of stuff. So haven't looked ahead to see what that means for our team when they go, but it's an important one. We can't overlook Lamar today. We need both of those games, and that's where we have to start. But when we go up to Lawrence, we want to make sure that we can take that, at least win the series. But I'm hopeful that they'll be able to sweep it and we can go 5-0 on the week.
Yeah, and this is the difference, I think, this year's team compared to some of the more recent teams where they have the talent, they have the experience, the chemistry, they have the
Hmm.
coaching, they have all the ingredients to be great, right? To be a top 10 team. And this is legit team. I mean, this is one of the best teams we have on campus, bar none. If you haven't made it out to a softball game, you need to get out to one very soon here, especially as we turn into April and May. Those games are really big time. But yeah, this weekend against Kansas, I think it's just an opportunity for Baylor to really take care of business. Kansas 14-7-1 is their overall record, 1-2 in conference play. They faced off against UCF this past weekend. So we'll see how the week shakes out. I know this much. Shaylin Govan, who you can catch her on the Sikkim podcast with John Morris, she continues to do her thing, batting .457 through 19 games, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs in the season. She is spectacular, really fun to listen to and to watch out there on the field.
She's the real deal. She was All-American last year for a reason. She's the real deal, and I love her fight. I love her competitive spirit, and she's extremely talented. And we know that we can count on her. People try to pitch around her, so that's fun sometimes. But that shows a level of respect, right? They don't want to be the pitcher that Shay gets her home runs on. They don't want that. They don't want to risk her bringing batters home. You gotta respect her game. But what I appreciate also about her, though, is her leadership presence on the team and how she's been such a great addition, culture speaking, to our program and has really been able to help in that piece of it too. Because you mentioned it, Justin, we're a very seasoned team now with a lot of returners, a good amount of veterans, people that have had experience. And her experience, what she brings to the table athletically, in addition to the person that she is definitely a benefit to our sport program. And she'll be the first to walk in extreme humility and not care about the stats, not care about any of that, and point back to her teammates. And I think that's what's important. We have the plaques on our desks. It's no limit to what you can accomplish if you don't care who gets the credit. And I think that's a testament to how Shay approaches what she does. She's going to go out and compete, but it's going to be about the team. And whatever comes after that is awesome.
Yeah, she's worth to watch if you haven't been out there. I mean, anytime that she's up at the plate, could be seeing a long home run or a big time hit. So that's fun to watch for Baylor softball. Shaylin Govan. As for Baylor baseball, they're coming off a tough opening series on the road for Big 12 play as they were swept this past weekend at Houston. Friday, a 4-3 loss, a nail biter there. Saturday, 8-0 loss. And then Sunday, another close loss, 3-2. Baylor baseball currently sits at 4-11 on the season, 163rd in the RPI currently. Top 25, Texas Tech. They come into town this weekend, but first up is Stephen F. Austin tonight at 6:30 from Baylor Ballpark. Corey, when you look at this Baylor baseball team, only one of the top 6 guys in RBIs last year is active and healthy on the team right now. That's Hunter Toplansky. A lot of injuries, a lot of new faces in the lineup, and facing some adversity here early in the season. We talk about that next man up mentality, and they're having to use that, but it's taken some time to gel, particularly offensively.
Yeah, and Coach mentioned his team is his coaches team has done a great job in just navigating the adversity that exists. And you think about it, first year head coach with us last year, different challenges experienced that season. Now you come in, feel really good about your group, and then you face some of those early injuries and you have to have the next person up. And we experienced that with softball. So a couple years ago. So I really can empathize with where he is and what he's trying to navigate. But it's exactly what you mentioned, Justin. It's having this mindset of next man up in this situation and being able to get the new rhythm and to gel with the new mix of individuals. And as they continue to go through the season, I think that you're just going to continue to see all of it come together. And it doesn't mean that my hope is that they'll win every game, but it doesn't mean that they'll win every game. I mean, you're getting better each and every game that you're playing. And as the season progresses, we just need the team to peak at the right time. We talk about that in a lot of our different sports. Beginning of the season is a time where we need to figure it out. We need to work through some different challenges. And I would prefer having to deal with injuries at the beginning of the season versus the end, because if you're trying to navigate, and this happened to softball, if you're trying to navigate significant role players at the end of the season and then put in those additional pieces, it's a little bit more challenging. So my hope is that for Coach Mitch and his team and his club out there, that they'll be able to use this time to get into a good rhythm and to figure out what combinations work best for them based on who is healthy, and then being able to maximize on that. And they have an opportunity to start that tonight, and no, not start that, continue that tonight, and then continue to figure out the right pieces to the puzzle to have them see the success that they desire. But I have enjoyed. I've watched them a couple of times. It's hard because we're playing softball and baseball doing stuff at the same time. But I've caught them on ESPN Plus a couple of times, and they've been fun to watch. And these games are close, so they are competing, and it'll the title turn, like it's coming. We're right there. They just had a little bit of unfortunate things happen here at the beginning that they're trying to work through.
Yeah, and I think another thing too, if you're a player, some of the players maybe they weren't expecting to start this year, and this was
Mm-hmm.
going to be a development year for them, and then you have some of these season-ending injuries, and suddenly now you're the guy, right? And you
Right.
got that takes a little bit of time to kind of figure it out. And so offensively, they're trying to figure that out. I'll say this much: Enzo Apodaca, that guy has been as good as advertised this year. He's batting .375 through 15 games, 2 home runs, 14 RBIs, 8 extra base hits on the season. His on-base percentage, a little better than what we could have done maybe back in high school, Corey, .435.
That's impressive.
The bullpen's been really solid. Ethan Calder, Patrick Hale, and others doing a really nice job just looking for more runs, right? It takes some runs, some good defense, and pitching. It takes all 3 elements to win games, whether that's on the baseball field or softball as well. Baylor Track and Field, they closed the 2024 indoor season with the NCAA Indoor Track and Field Championships at the track at New Balance over the weekend. I'll say this much, Corey, I saw some video and pictures, this track in Boston, and man, this thing looked fast.
People were moving, like moving. And we talked about this last week, but I think it lived up to the hype, right? There's a lot of hype in the track world around this new facility, the track at New Balance, and all this stuff, and it lived up to the hype. I mean, I could never do or run at any of the speeds that we saw, but we saw some people getting it done. And some of our student athletes were on the receiving end of that and got some All-American statuses as a result. But yeah, it was neat to see. Again, didn't get to watch as much as I wanted to, but looking at some of the clips from the men and women that participated in it, there were some impressive times. I'll just put it that way.
I don't like to run, but the way I saw that track, I was like, man,
like, sign me up.
I might run today. Okay. Not long.
Sign me up.
Just the sprints. I do not need to be doing any long distance. Okay.
Me either. I'm not here for it. That's part of why I had to end track, because I only wanted to sprint, but I got too slow to be competitive as a sprinter because they were just moving. So we had to retire my my track spites real early, but I just watch and admire it now.
You mentioned 2 All-Americans. Nathaniel Ezekiel earned an All-American finish in the men's quarter mile, which I would categorize as too long. Okay, that's just a little bit too long of running. Looking for
That's
something
a sprint,
shorter.
though, just so we're clear. It's a sprint.
He's sprinting. I'm not sprinting in that. And Coach Ford knows that for a fact. His second straight year on the indoor NCAA podium in that event, super impressive. That's Nathaniel's 6th career NCAA podium finish to power Baylor to a 53rd place finish in team scoring. Over on the women's side, Alexis Brown picked up her first All-America honor of her career, taking 5th in the long jump competition. With another jump over 21 feet, Brown landed a 21 and 3 1/4 attempt that marks as the second best in program history. The Baylor women finished 38th in team scoring, but long jump, I mean, that's super impressive what they're doing right there. I mean, those numbers, sheesh.
It is wild. So when I ran track, I did sprints and long jump, and the things that you have to do to your body to get it to go, essentially, it's just really, really impressive. A lot of the field events are impressive to me, if you start like geeking out and really getting into the track world. But to jump 21 feet, like that is far, 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 far. So it's extremely impressive. Very, very excited for her, and get the All-American honor. But then in addition to that, you get the second best mark in program history. So now you're in the record books at Baylor. Just really cool opportunity for her. And she came in as a transfer, so to be able to start making a name for herself here is neat to see.
Yeah, she's probably one of those student athletes you're hearing buzzing in the hallway over there, super smiling and yelling right now. I know if I had those numbers, I would be smiling from ear to ear. Okay.
Same.
The Bears, they'll turn to the outdoor season now on March 16th this weekend, competing up at TCU. As for Baylor men's tennis, they currently sit 15-4 overall following a very busy weekend of action at the end of last week. And over the weekend on Thursday night, Baylor defeated 33rd ranked VCU 4-2. On Friday, Baylor defeated Omaha 7-0. And then they split the doubleheader on Sunday, losing 4-2 at number 2 TCU, and then defeating Cleveland State 5-2 at home in the nightcap. Baylor currently sits 25th in the latest ITA rankings. Big match at Wake Forest this Saturday. And much like a lot of the Olympic sports, including the women, you got to be top 16 to host. And so you're at 25, a lot of season left here, but clearly that's one of their goals, to be able to host. And Wake Forest was another top 25 team typically. So a lot more tennis coming. And really for a lot of our sports, a lot of our Olympic sports, it's really March, April, May, June. That's their prime time, right? And tennis is one of those. As the heat warms up, tennis is going on.
Yeah, and tennis is a good one. I mean, we have such a great facility. Our outdoor facility is amazing. Tennis is a great one to be able to just go out and watch, enjoy some fresh air, and see some highly competitive tennis on both the men's and women's side. And we've been fortunate to host in previous years. So my hope is that the men get to where they need to be able to host, because that gives us extra things to be able to watch and be able to support them in that. And our teams do a phenomenal job behind the scenes. Everybody involved in events and facilities, they do a great job of being able to create a great experience for all the teams that will be participating in that postseason berth. So hopefully our guys continue to kill it and get things done. And as they do that, their rankings just increase so that we're gifted with some additional tennis, to your point, Justin, once we get into late April, early May, and the weather is beautiful, and we can get a lot of people out there to support them.
And you even have that paddock, right? I think that's what they call it. Basically, hangover ledge, if you want to. Yeah, for some shade. It's hot.
It does.
The sun down in Waco, Texas. We're a little bit closer to the equator than if you're up there in, Michigan or Kansas or Minnesota or any of those states. So it's different, but you definitely need to catch your shade. As for Baylor women's tennis, right now they're 11-5 on the season, following 2 wins over the weekend. Baylor defeated UCF on Friday 4-2, And then Houston on Sunday, 6-1. The women currently sit 4-0 in Big 12 play. Very challenging week ahead with matches on the road at Nebraska, at K-State, and then number 1 Oklahoma State. But another great opportunity for another Baylor team going up against the top 5 team. Baylor currently sits 32nd in the latest ITA rankings, so just behind the men there. But Mishka Kalikova, she's 10-1 on the season. She plays number 1 singles. Really fun to watch her play. Former Iowa State Cyclone and an all-conference performer, having a great season for the women. So once again, another great opportunity. I mean, if I'm one of those student athletes, I'm going up against the number 1 team. Of course, you got to compete against Nebraska and K-State first.
Right.
I get ahead of ourselves here. But I'm excited about this week. Like, this is a week of opportunity for me.
Oh, 100%, 100%. The first thought I had as I was listening to you remind me of where they're going. I'm like, ooh, that's quite a travel swing. But what great opportunities. And it's not often that during the course of a season you'll have the opportunity to face the number 1 team in your sport. So to be able to end the week like that and have an opportunity to take them down, there's something about the underdog in that just gets me excited. And I imagine that the women on the team would get amped for that too. But like you said, we can't overlook Nebraska. We can't overlook K-State. So we'll handle that first, but then be able to shift to the number 1 team, which should be a fun one for them.
All right, that'll do it for today's edition of Inside Baylor Sports, a Sport and Story production. Thanks for listening. For Corey Bolts, I'm Justin Hoff. Have a great Tuesday, and Sick 'em Bears.